let's do a quick BB28 overnight live feed update. If you don't want any spoilers, now would be the time to scroll on. Really not a lot happened last night, but Melody and tonight Mallory were both kind of questioning whether or not they should keep Kamu instead of evicting him. They ended up having a conversation with Drew about this and really let him know all their thoughts about how much they don't trust Devins and the other icons, but really it's mostly Devins that they do not trust at all. And that they're fearful that they're just going to work together to get this vote on Kamu, and then Devins is going to blow up their whole entire game. And because of that, they just don't even know if they should go with this plan because Kamu will protect them. Drew basically told them, like, Kamu is such a self-interested player. If the icons are the ones that happen to win the head of household next week, Kamu is definitely going up to that HoH room to try and make amends, to try and get back on their good side and manipulate them to put up who he wants to put up. And he's already nominated you, Mallory, and Melody. He voted to evict you along with Yash. Like, why are you putting trust in these people? Where they landed at the time that they went to bed last night is if Kamu is on the block against Angela, they will vote to evict Kamu. If Kamu is on the block against Haley, they plan to vote to evict Haley. Now, in this scenario of Kamu versus Haley, them switching to the other side does not secure enough votes for Haley to actually be the one to go home. It just makes them be on the wrong side of the vote against the icons, which is actually a terrible idea for them because in that scenario, Devins does blow up their game. I talked about that in my last update last night. So it would be a really bad idea actually for Melody and Mallory to do this. They also really don't see a world where Haley fully switches over to their side unless Lala is no longer there, but obviously she's going to be there this week. So for them, it actually, in my opinion, would make the most sense to just go with the icons for this vote. I 100% understand them saying that if they win the head of household, they will not be nominating Yash, Taylor, and Lala. Agree with that 100%. The thing is, Melody and Mallory are both very much smack dab in the middle of this house right now. And they're also, unfortunately, at the bottom of every alliance that they're currently involved in, aside from maybe the FAP alliance, because that one is pretty evenly split. I don't see the two guys taking each other over one of their girls. And I do feel like even if they vote with the icons, they have voiced throughout the week enough concerns to Yash where they can say, look, we are not with the icons. However, I just had to be a little bit self-interested and get Kamu out of this game because I know that he was coming after us. However, I'm still with you. I'm still with this alliance. I just couldn't be with Kamu. And I do think that they would be able to kind of work themselves, reintegrate into the Yash, Taylor, Lala side of the house a little bit more. Because I still don't think that even if they vote with the icons, that if someone from the Yash, Taylor, Lala side of the house, they're not going to then nominate Melody and Mallory over the icons. They're not going to be that mad because they've been so open about their concerns with keeping Kamu throughout this week. So we will see what things look like this morning when the house guests wake up. If there's anything kind of crazy going on, looks like any votes are flipping or anything of the sort, I'll definitely come back and give an update. However, if everything is kind of chill and nothing's really happening, I will see you when we get Julie's blockbuster preview. Feet just went down for the first HoH lockdown, and we do have some things changing a little bit. So let's get into a quick BB28 live feed update. So Mallory had a conversation with Melody, and she still is just not really keen on blindsiding or fully turning on the Yash, Taylor, Lala side of the house. She just has way too much trust put into them, and she just really doesn't want to ruin that relationship, burn that bridge, all of those kinds of things. So initially they talked about potentially if Haley wins Blockbuster, they still vote out Angela, but they were thinking that Kamu would still leave in that scenario because they were not going to tell Drew and Barrett about this plan. However, the question mark for them is, where is Haley going to vote? Haley's definitely going to vote out Angela. She is going to want to keep Kamu. So if they were to follow this plan, Kamu would not leave. Angela would leave. So Melody brought this up to her that like they can't trust Haley. Even if they ask Haley, who knows if what she says is true? And they could end up essentially blindsiding themselves, is what Melody said. And Angela could end up going home, which they don't necessarily want. So now where they've landed on is that they are going to split their 2 votes. And then they will blame the vote on either Haley or Kamu. But that doesn't, the math still isn't mathing because the mosh pit is expecting a certain amount of votes. And if they're 1 vote shy, Devins has already let Drew and Barrett know this morning that he is going scorched earth and he will call a house meeting and air out every secret that he knows about anyone, including himself, including Dee, including Drew, including Barrett. Literally any secret that he knows in this house is going to get aired out. If they decide to still split those votes, and again, they don't plan on telling Drew and Barrett that they're going to do this, then there could be some fireworks. I have no idea where they're going to end up landing today. They keep being so wishy-washy. Devins had just told Drew and Barrett about this whole house meeting plan if things don't go their way right before feeds went down. So I am curious to see if either Barrett or Drew will tell the girls that this is Devins' plan, because that is their biggest fear. That is what they are most worried about, is Devins airing everything out. And if they tell them that, it may be enough to make them just stick with them for this vote and then turn on them next week. We'll have to see what happens, but they're really driving me crazy with all the flip-flopping right now. Last feed update before the live show tonight. So earlier today, Drew made some comments to Angela saying that he is concerned that Taylor or Lala will blow up on Melody and Mallory for flipping their vote and will get in their face. I'm really not sure where this is coming from, because I know Taylor and Lala can ask very direct questions, but neither one of them have like blown up on anyone or gotten in anyone's face. Lala has had some arguments and disagreements with Haley, but she's remained calm until afterwards, and then she'll shed some tears. But she didn't even raise her voice with Haley in their last disagreement, which wasn't on any episodes, but they did get into a disagreement, like, when was that? Friday morning, maybe it was, in the bathroom. And everyone in the house was even talking about how it was such a weird, like, argument between them because both of them had lowered voices throughout the whole thing. So where this synergy is coming from is very weird. Angela then, after this conversation, goes and talks to Melody and Mallory, and she basically repeats the same thing to them and says, if anyone, she doesn't specifically say Taylor and Lala, but because she just had this conversation with Drew, we on the outside at least know that that's who she's referring to, that if anyone blows up on them or gets in their face, that she will make sure to stand in their way and protect them. It's also just weird that there's all this energy for Drew thinking that Melody and Mallory need all of this protection from Taylor and Lala, yet Devins is the one that is literally telling him that he is going to go nuclear on them and the rest of the house if these votes don't go the way that he is expecting them to. No mention at the time of feeds going down that they need any protection from Devins, because then the girls would be doing what he wants them to do as well, I guess, because rather than going ahead and flipping the vote after being threatened by Devins, which is what I personally would do, he just relays the threat basically to Mallory. So now at the time that the feeds go down, Melody and Mallory are on board with voting Kamu out, with sticking with the icons on this vote, because Drew relayed the threat from Devins basically, to Mallory. Mallory then told Melody about it and said if we don't vote with the icons, they're going to be coming after us, which Melody basically was like, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. We made them a promise. And so it's kind of like if we're not with them, we're against them kind of deal, which is true, which is like essentially what Devins was saying. But it's just real funny that they would need protection from Taylor and Lala, but there's no mention of needing protection from the person that's actually threatening them. It's kind of weird how that works. I'm hoping that Kamu loses the blockbuster tonight. I do not care if Angela or Haley, either one, ends up being the winner of the blockbuster. I just need it to not be Kamu. And then I need Kamu to walk out of the house, and I need all of our BB journalist people that will be doing exit interviews to make sure he knows that Frankie Grande and Jason are besties IRL. I know a lot of people in my comment section keep saying that Kamu needs to stay because he's going to go after the icons, but literally everyone in that house is going after the icons aside from Drew and Barrett. So, like, I don't need him to stay. We have a new head of household, so let's go ahead and do a BB28 live feed update. So the head of household competition was the balance beam competition. It sounds like it was hosted by Paul from seasons 18 and 19. And the head of household winner this week is Dee. We also have some new have-nots. Have-nots this week are Lala, Taylor, and Mallory. They all three volunteered to be have-nots this week, and I don't think this was a good decision for a couple of them. Immediately, Dee has said that her nominations this week are going to be Taylor, Lala, and Yash. Taylor has had a conversation with Mallory and said that she plans on sharing a lot of information with Dee this week and blowing a lot of things up. I'm wondering if maybe she's talking about like some of the alliances that she had with Devins, which unfortunately Dee already knows about those. So it's not going to have the impact that I think she thinks it will have. But I'm glad that she's still like fighting and will continue pushing throughout this week. I also know that Dee talked to Devins and said that she is going to ask production if she is allowed to use her bribe by bribing Drew to not nominate her or Devins for the rest of the game. I don't think that this is a way that she can use her power, but she told Devins that if Drew turns that bribe down, she will nominate him. I think the overall target for Dee this week is Yash, but I don't know how much Devins loves that idea. He talked with someone a little bit ago, I can't remember who it was, about how he actually thinks that they should keep Yash until at least jury because he just thinks that Yash is someone that is going to vote for someone that actually plays like a really good game and won't be a bitter juror. So I don't think that Devins loves the idea of Yash leaving pre-jury. So we'll see if he's able to change Dee's mind a little bit about these nominations. We'll see how this week plays out. If Yash is one of the people nominated or Taylor, I do have faith that one of them can win the veto and the other can win a blockbuster. So hopefully they can do that. If one of them wins veto, Dee is going to have to make someone mad that she doesn't want to, because our only other options would be Haley, who she is hoping to rebuild trust and relationship with this week, or someone from the mosh pit. So she would be having to show her cards sooner than she wants. So I'm really hoping that one of the three nominees wins power of veto on Saturday. Let me know your thoughts on all of this down in the comments, and we'll check back in tomorrow before nominations.